Today I'm going to be showing you a secret trade-up trick that will make you circumvent the Steam tax on some of your trade-up outcomes, and it'll help you make profit while accumulating low-fold skins for other trade-ups. With these, you're going to turn regular profitable trade-ups from this to this. And I know right now you're probably telling yourself that this is too good to be true, but today I will explain exactly how this trick works, and I'm gonna teach you how to do it yourself to make some profit. This video was made possible by SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is an instant trading site, and trading your skins to different ones is as simple as selecting the skins you want to get rid of, selecting the skins you want, and hitting trade. If you don't quite have enough funds, you can top up your balance with a 35% deposit bonus with my code TECHSAVVY. Additionally, if you're a first-time user, you get a free $5 to use in your first trade. They also don't charge any overpay for good floats, so if you need trade-up inputs, SkinsMonkey is a great place to get them. And not only that, but they're always running multiple giveaways, so even if you don't have any skins to trade, there's something here for you to check out. SkinsMonkey is the only reason I'm able to do such crazy videos as this one, so if you want to support the channel, or if you just want to claim your free $5, go check them out, link in the description. Now to get started, we're gonna want to start doing this trade up. You simply need 10 StatTrak field tested mil specs from the recoil case with an average float of no higher than 0.1947. As you'll soon see, you're gonna need to do a lot of these trade ups, and sniping just isn't going to cut it, so you have to use buy orders, but currently there are 0 buy orders set at 14 cents, and there's also no listings at 14 cents, so it's the perfect price to set your buy orders, and with that, this trade up is going to cost you $1.40 for every attempt. Now, in and of itself, this trade up is pretty solid, a 60% chance to profit, with a profitability of 112%. Now, before I start doing these trade ups, I'm going to explain what the trick is. Notice that the Revolver Crazy 8 and the Dual Berettas Flora Carnivoras come in a low field tested float, and the eagle-eyed of you would have noticed that this average float is actually a little bit lower than optimal if you were to just do the trade up without this trick, but that is on purpose, because it turns out that this float of 0.1947 is perfectly low enough to go into a minimum aware StatTrak Ice Cold trade up. And because this Ice Cold trade up is profitable, what you'll want to do is, if you get the Revolver or the Dual Berettas, instead of selling it like you normally do when doing trade ups, you're actually going to keep them and you're gonna chain it up to the AK Ice Cold. Now, normally when doing trade ups on Steam, you'd have to sell the outcome, meaning that you lose 13% of the value of your outcome to the Steam tax when selling. And since we're gonna be directly chaining the Revolver and the Dual Berettas, we never lose the 13% Steam tax. Now, because we're using the outcomes that we just traded up to, it's actually quite hard to figure out the real profitabilities of these chain trade ups. I found 2 ways to do it, and both of them are correct. Now, the numbers are gonna look wildly different, so you might ask, and it's a valid question, how can these both be correct when the numbers are wildly different? And I'll explain that a little bit later, but for now, just bear with me, and please, 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 please watch the entire video before you start commenting that I'm wrong. I've named the 2 methods of accounting for chain trade ups. The first one I'm going to be calling the take profit method, and the second one I'm going to be calling the all-in method. So let's take a deeper dive into the take profit method. The core idea of this method is to set the price of every single skin to its real value in context of this trade up. And there's no real good way to do this in TradeUpSpy, but there is a kind of hacky way to make it work. So here we are in TradeUpSpy with the first trade up. You're gonna want to make it so that it shows both Steam fees and no Steam fees, and you're gonna want to ignore the profitability value because we're gonna be calculating it for ourselves. Now, what I meant when I said value in context of this trade up is basically fancy wording to say that if we sell the outcome, we have to consider Steam tax. If we keep the outcome, we don't consider Steam tax. So in this case, for the green outcomes, the profit outcomes, you take the bottom profit number, and the red, the loss outcomes, you take the top profit number. So you take these profit numbers, you multiply them by their individual odds. So in this case, it's going to be 0.77 times 0.2 for the SG Dragon Tech. You do that for every skin, and you add up these values, and you should get 0.214, and this number is your average profit per trade up in dollars. Now, if you want to calculate the profitability percent, all you have to do is add the cost, so add 1.4, and divide that sum by the cost of the trade up, which is 1.4, then multiply by 100 to get a percent, and you get 115.3% profitability, which, as you can see, is already higher than the original profitability of 112%. So when you chain the R8s and dualies into the ice cold trade up, this is what you get. You put the same prices for the inputs because of course they're worth the same amount as when you got it as an outcome, and you simply set the outcomes to their Steam market listing price. Now this trade up is crazy good, 134% profitability almost. You make over $13 on the AK Ice Cold, you break even on the Visions, and you lose a little under $5 on the Kislev. Now you could stop here and take the 134% profitability trade up, or you could chain it one tier higher, because look at the sawed-off Kislev. Once again, it comes with a float of 0.1947, and while this is not perfect for a USP print stream trade up, it's still definitely low enough to be used for one. So if you're gonna keep the sawed-off Kislevs for a print stream trade up, once again, let's account for the fact that you're not covering the Steam tax, and I won't bore you with the exact calculation, but it turns out that the profitability of this trade up is 136.5%, accounting for not paying the Steam tax. Now, once you get enough sawed-off Kislevs, specifically 8 of them, this is the final trade up that you can do. You will need to snipe 2 minimal wear fillers with floats of below 0.1. This shouldn't be hard though, and this will get you the StatTrack USP print stream and minimal wear. If you use Fracture, you'll also get the Desert Eagle print stream and StatTrack minimal wear, and this is a straight up coin flip trade up with a profitability of roughly 110%. Now, since you can't trade up covert skins, you're gonna have to pay the Steam tax on all of the outcomes, so there's no adjustment to be made here, but this is still a pretty solid profitability trade up with pretty solid odds to make profit. Now let's take a look at why I call this the take profit method. Notice that all of these trade ups are profitable. They're in the green, meaning that when you do them, you're constantly gonna be making profit. Small profit, but you're gonna be consistently making money. So you're gonna be profiting when you're doing mil-spec to restricted trade ups. You're gonna be profiting when you're doing restricted to classified trade ups, and of course you're gonna be profiting when you do classified to covert trade ups. So that's why I called it the take profit method. Essentially, you're taking whatever profit you can at each level. The difference between this method and the all-in method is that in the all-in method, you're not taking profit along the way, you're pushing all of the profit towards the end. So let's take a look at that setup. Of course, the inputs are still the same, and the profit outcomes are also the same, but I set the revolvers and the dual Berettas prices to $0. The reason I did this is so that each outcome represents the change of balance that happens when you get that outcome. So for example, if you hit an SG Dragon Tech, your balance is gonna go up by 77 cents. If you hit an M249 Downtown, your balance is gonna go up by 57 cents. But if you hit a Revolver Crazy 8, because you don't sell it, you don't get any money back, so essentially, your balance goes down by the entire cost of the trade up, which is $1.40. Now at this point, you might be tempted to call the revolvers and the dual Berta's price $1.40 because you lost $1.40 when you hit them. But if you did this, you'd essentially be doing the take profit method. But let's approach it from a different direction. Let's say you do 5 trade ups and you get one of each outcome. This is the absolute average outcome that you should get if you do enough. And trust me, you will do enough of these to get the average outcomes. So let's say you started with $10. After hitting the SG Dragon Tech, your balance goes up to $10.77. Then after the Vent Rush, you're now sitting at $11.38. Then after hitting the Downtown, you're sitting at $11.95. After hitting the Revolver, you're sitting at $10.55. But remember, you kept the Revolver. And after hitting the Flora Carnivoras, you're sitting at $9.15. But again, remember, you kept the dual Berettas. So you went from $10 to $9.15, so your balance went down 85 cents, but also you started with 0 skins, but now you have the Revolver and the dual Berettas. So essentially you exchanged 85 cents for these 2 skins, meaning that each of them costed you 42.5 cents. Now I know this is controversial and I know every single one of you are gonna be opposing me in the comments, but just do the math, man. Now here's the second trade trade up. So now we set the price to 0.425, and this time it's a 302% no risk trade up. Now once again, I know this seems too good, but just give me a moment and I'll explain why this can seem so good. But if you want to move on to the print stream trade up, then let's set the sawed-off Kislov's price to $0, again reflecting the change in balance that happens when you hit the outcome. And notice that this time the trade-up does not go into the red, it is still insanely profitable. So let's assume that you start spamming this trade-up. It is a profitable trade-up, meaning that you make money by spamming it over the long term. But also, remember, we get back $0 because we don't sell the sawed-off, we keep it. So not only are you making money, but you're also accumulating sawed-offs. So the average cost of these sawed-offs is $0. You're making money while making the sawed-offs. Now, although you're essentially generating the sawed-offs for free, you're still gonna have to buy the 2 fillers. So this last trade-up isn't quite gonna be free, but still it has a 400% profitability and a 100% chance to make profit. So where's the catch? These numbers must be too good to be true, right? There's no way they're real. Well, technically they're real. In terms of trade-ups, what you're doing overall is completely independent of how you account for the profit or loss. The overall dollar amount that you make, assuming you have the same luck, is going to be identical no matter which accounting method you use. Although I briefly touched on this, the reason the profitability values are wildly different is because of the profit distribution. In the take profit method, you take profit all along the chain method. In the all-in method, you're essentially delaying every single ounce of profit possible into your last trade up. And the reason the percent value of the last couple trade-ups is so high is because by doing this, you artificially lower the apparent cost of the last trade-up, but of course the outcome prices are still the same, they're just set by the Steam market, so the profit that you make in the end is gonna be a larger percentage of that artificial low cost for the last trade-up. Now, if you want to call this misleading, go ahead. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of is. Even though the math is completely correct, the second method of accounting still definitely makes it sound like you're making a lot more profit than you actually are. However, I would like to reiterate that the math in this video is correct. If you have any opposing views, please let me know in the comments below. I'm ready to have a civil conversation about it, but now it's time for me to do some trade-ups. Now, for the sake of time, I didn't go through the entire method because it takes absolutely ages to do this, and if I want to pump out more videos, then I can't just be doing this all day. But I gathered up a couple of the mil-spec trade-ups, so let's do them. Let's do some of these recoil trade-ups. I have 4 attempts. Again, it's 60% chance to profit. Give me the profit outcomes. Yes, there we go. That's profit. Come on. Oh yeah, another profit. 2 in a row. Come on. And another one. That's also a minimal wear outcome. Can we hit 4 profits in a row? We can! Let's go! Well, we didn't hit either the R8 nor the dualies, but hey, that's good because we only hit profit outcomes, so I cannot complain. Now, if I were to actually do this method, I would have to grind out this trade up many more times, but to make this video more exciting, I bought the inputs for an AK Ice Gold trade up, so let's go for it. And here we go with the AK-47 Slate attempt. I already know that I am going to get the sawed-off Kislov, but I still want to get the AK. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. And there we go, the sawed-off Kislov, just as I had predicted. Well, the curse of the Kislov got me again. Now, I did a StatTrak minimal wear USB print stream trade up, so let's see what I got. This is the most expensive trade up of this video. We're going for the StatTrak minimal wear USPS print stream. This time, this is a classified to covert, and therefore is a straight 50-50 for the StatTrak minimal wear USP print stream. Give it to me, Gaben, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on, USP. Yes, let's go. Let's go. We got the minimal wear StatTrak USPS print stream. that is the best outcome of this trade up, and I think the most expensive outcome. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I know this was a long and really intense video, and I already know that people are literally gonna hate me in the comments below, but that's okay. I hope you learned something, and I truly hope that I managed to open your eyes to this new perspective on CS2 trade up profitabilities. And if you're still watching, man, please hit that like button. This video took an enormous amount of effort to put together, and if you want to watch another example of chain trade ups, then I'd recommend you check out this video next, where I do the same method except for the AK inheritance.